they could do that. We had to put in new electrical service before they could do that. And of course, you know how things go. Some of the equipment that we put in, the air conditioning unit, was in the wrong place, and so it had to be moved. But now we're all set for them to come in at the end of the month, and I'm praying that the work will be completed by Easter, which seems fitting since Jesus rose from the dead. Hopefully our elevator will as well. So that's the update on that. Then the last thing I wanted to update you on, if you haven't been keeping up with it, is that you remember that our denomination has been going through struggles over the issues of, marriage and ordination relative to LGBTQI community. The General Conference is the one that has to make the decision on what we will do, and that has been postponed twice now, and now it has been postponed a third time. So General Conference will not meet until 2024. We're jumping, and of course there are people who, we have different minds regarding whether that's what we should do. And so there's going to be a separation, and since this announcement was made on Thursday or Friday, the driving force for a new denomination, the General Methodist Church, has announced that they will roll out and start the new denomination on May 1st of this year. So, of course, the whole plan was for a protocol to be voted on so that churches could amicably, you know what I'm trying to say, go their own way. And churches would not have to pay for their building. They keep their building. They'd have to pay for a portion of their shares of ministry. But, so now that's kind of, we're wondering what's going to happen in the next 2 years. But the annual conference, which will meet, the annual conference is a group of which we are part here in Susquehanna Valley over to Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area. We meet in the first few days of June. And there is a resolution that is being brought to annual conference, which has been written by members of UMC Next, which is the group that wants to go with a new discipline, and then there's the traditional group that wants to stay with the current discipline. And they have come together. We can work together, and they're coming together and working on a resolution for how we're going to respond to this new postponement. And I just want to say, the reason for the postponement is that we are a global church. Delegates overseas cannot get visas in a timely fashion to guarantee that they can be here for the General Conference. So instead of making it so that we can't have representation, they will wait. So the resolution coming before our conference in June, written by members of UMC Next and also the traditional United Methodist Church group, which is the one that wants to stay with our current discipline, will say this, and I'm just going to read the therefores, be it resolved. Therefore be it resolved that the Susquehanna Annual Conference support and encourage a clear and transparent process using existing provisions of the Book of Discipline to work with churches and clergy who wish to transfer their affiliation to another denomination, and be it further resolved that the Susquehanna Annual Conference aspires for this process to be expedient, intentionally grace-filled, and mutually beneficial in the spirit of our general rules, which call us to do no harm and to do good to one another for the sake of the living out of Christ's love in mission and ministry to the world. So we will have representatives at annual conference to respond and vote according to how they feel led to respond to that resolution, which to me sounds like a wonderful resolution. I don't know anything wrong with that. So keep it in your prayers for God to continue to lead and guide us. I have asked Leslie Gottwald to stay with us for a little bit. To share a little bit of our spotlight We are going to be spotlighting different members of the congregation in the weeks ahead as part of our celebration of our 200th anniversary. And today, the spotlight is on Harold Angle. And so Leslie's going to come up and speak about what she's written. And Leslie is writing these things for us. And let me make sure that's the green light's on.
Okay, so as we are starting to celebrate the 200th anniversary of our church, I was thinking how remarkable it is to think in a culture that we live in where it seems like we don't really like to commit long-term to much of anything. We have had a group of people committed to each other in this place for 200 years. And we're going to be celebrating the building and the programs and the staff, but we're also going to look at the people and their stories and spotlighting one person or one couple each week throughout the year. And so today is Harold Angle, and he has been here in this church his entire life, which means that he has been here almost half of the whole time our church has been in existence. Also phenomenal. You can read in his story that he's been very committed here. Most of us probably think of him bringing in his saxophone and participating in music ministry, but also Sunday school and other various things. But he's also a World War II veteran. And some of you probably remember he spoke one year in the Veterans Day service, and he told his story about the time when he is pinned down in a firefight with Nazis in Germany. Well, he's in France, and he had gotten shot in his helmet. It ricochets off, it hits his shoulder. And he said he then looks up from the ground and he sees a hand grenade fall close to him, and all he has time to do is cover his hands and say, "Lord, protect me." And the hand grenade never goes off. Then he gets back to the medic and he starts to take off layers of clothing so they can treat his wound. And he told me the bullet just dropped out on the ground. It had never even broken the skin. And as I'm listening to him, I'm thinking God was with him in that moment. He knows God was with him. But then he tells me something I didn't know, that was his very first mission. He had just arrived in France the day before. So I envisioned this boy, basically. Most touching in his story to me was he said the day that he got on the ship to come across was Christmas Eve. Can you imagine? And he said he was sitting on this ship and he was so homesick and he could hear them singing Christmas carols in the harbor and he just missed his family. The sacrifice of that generation. And so this morning I was thinking about it and I thought, I interviewed him in December. I had no idea when we ran his story the first week of March what our world would look like, but that his story gives us all some hope. And as you read other people's stories in this church, people have gone through really difficult things, but they all say the same thing. God got me through. They tell us to look up. And so look for these each week. Song? Yeah.
So one of the things that is asking in her interviews with members of our congregation is what their favorite hymns are. They're listed. If you haven't picked up the paper about Harold at the table, don't leave without. I'm cutting in and out, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. So pick that up before you leave. But we're going to sing the first verse of one of his favorite hymns, which is Stand Up for Jesus. So if you haven't got it, Dan put it on the screen. It should be familiar.
And since you're standing...
Good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and come to the Lord in song now and just... maybe.
I see the work of your hands, galaxies spinning a heavenly dance. Oh God, all that you are is so overwhelming. And I hear the sound of your voice. All at once it's a gentle and thundering noise. Oh